it was really interesting growing up Indian in those areas too. Like we had seeing seeing people that looked like me in kind of positions that demanded a lot of respect, whereas I might not have been getting that same kind of respect as a child growing up in a place like Lloydminster. So it's kind of cool to see that, like, you can make it out and you can aspire to be something. And, seeing that doctor that took care of our family from when we were young, he'd come over, do house visits, and, he would always seem to remember everything about you. And that kind of lit the fire on me to kind of go down the path of medicine. So that's kind of how we went all the way down this route. And of course, going to U of A for medical school, there's a lot of different things that kind of were presented in front of you. And I kind of drifted a little bit away from family medicine. Everyone wants to be the surgeon, kind of go in ortho. Then all of a sudden, I think everyone has like like that crush on emerge or anesthesia as well. And yeah, kind of going through residency, but ended up having an amazing rural family medicine rotation back home. And at the end of my fourth year, just kind of going through the hoops to go to any other specialties, I was just like, man, family doctors seem like the happiest people out there. They seem to really have that thing they call work-life balance. And yeah, I think, that was kind of the path that took me down to family medicine for sure.
So did your training, went down the rural family medicine route. 6 years later, here we are practicing zero bread and butter classic family medicine. And you've had like several different, I don't know if I'd call them midlife crises on the way of like full on pivots in your career. So you started doing rural medicine. That lasted for a little while. And then you did your sports, or did you do your sports med before you started doing rural medicine as a locum?
Well, he actually missed two jobs in between there. So it started off with kind of rural family medicine. So I had a really great kind of practicum in my last year residency, and I was able to just kind of do some locum, kind of taking over one of my preceptors who was moving to a different small community. So it was a pretty seamless integration back into the community I was working in. And it was honestly like an awesome setting. I had access to like a lot of my preceptors, and, I made a lot of those first kind of overnight emerge shifts that got a little bit hairy, always knowing that I had backup. And a lot of them would help me out by being like, hey, I'm going to be around town this weekend. So, when you're doing your first 48 hours by yourself, you can always call a friend. So having that support was really astronomical and really quite great. At that point, I was kind of in my own personal life. I was single, so I didn't really have those opportunities kind of waiting for me in the small town. So I made the decision to kind of continue doing some locums closer in the Calgary area, initially in Airdrie, and then I was also going up back and forth with Yellowknife for a short period of time there too. So kind of getting a little different view of our country, kind of seeing what rural medicine is like up north, which gave me a nice little taste of that as well. And then kind of pre-2020, that was also kind of my first foray. I remember seeing an advertisement for Telehealth, kind of the Babylon, which you may be familiar with, of course. And yeah, I was one of the first doctors to kind of get on that before everything that blew up with COVID, and thought that would be kind of the future of medicine, moving a little bit more in that direction. And when I made the decision to kind of quit doing my locums and kind of settle down in the Calgary area, it was mostly leaning towards joining sports medicine. A good friend of mine actually was currently doing his fellowship, and he put me in touch with one of his preceptors that were doing sports medicine in the Airdrie area. And they helped me out and said, hey, like if you come work at our clinic, we can kind of do a little like mini residency for you. We'll get some hours doing some sports, some events, working with some of the teams. And yeah, things are going pretty great. And then COVID hit and things kind of really took a turn.
I'm Dr. Jordan Vollrath, and you've been watching Cherry Live, brought to you by Cherry Health. Please like and subscribe to see more clips like this, or check us out at www.cherry.health, Canada's medical network.